Okay, everybody, this is Coach Coggins again. What we're going to do right now, I want you guys to watch a clip from the History Channel's program, World War II from Space. It's a pretty neat program. We're watching it today for the attack on Pearl Harbor. So watch the video and respond to the questions that you need to respond to that go along with it. I hope you enjoy it.
December 7th, 1941. The turmoil of World War II enters its 27th month. Japanese troops storm Shanghai. German armies stand at the gates of Moscow, leaving 6.5 million casualties in their wake. Nazi Germany has mainland Europe in its grip. Under siege, Britain hangs on by a thread. 3,000 miles away, the United States remains at peace. 76% of her citizens support neutrality. At 7:55 a.m., the peace is shattered. 360 Japanese warplanes descend on Pearl Harbor. World War II has come to America. This is America's war as never seen before. From the unique vantage point of space. Witness the key battles unfold and the military strategies behind them in stunning detail. Revealed are the political alliances, the global battle for resources, and the astounding awakening of American military and manufacturing might that will determine the outcome of the greatest conflict ever fought. The unprovoked Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor will send shockwaves across the globe, but America has feared a strike for months. Since 1931, Japan's imperial ambitions have grown bolder and bolder. First, Manchuria is invaded, then China itself. When France falls to Nazi Germany in 1940, Japan seizes control of French Indochina. The U.S. response is rapid. Japan's financial assets are frozen and an oil embargo is imposed. The message is clear: withdraw from Indochina or be economically crushed.
After the embargo, Japan was faced with two choices: stop territorial expansion, giving to the demands of the Allies, or go to war.
Japan chooses war. In the words of Prime Minister Tojo, it is either glory or decline. It is imperative that they make the first decisive strike.
The Japanese knew they were never going to go toe-to-toe with the United States in a long naval war in the Pacific. They knew they didn't have the economic might, the military might, but it was a calculation that they could administer a knockout blow to the capital ships of the U.S. Pacific Fleet.
If you could destroy the Pacific Fleet, the ability of the Americans to respond to anything for many months would be taken away. So the strike of Pearl Harbor was not just a strike at a symbol of American power, it was American power in the Pacific.
What American intelligence cannot see is revealed from space. Admiral Yamamoto's fleet departs Japan on the longest assault in history. Avoiding shipping lanes and landmass, they arrive unseen 275 miles from their target. It's the perfect vantage point, beyond the range of America's defensive radar, but at the optimum strike distance for its force of 414 cutting-edge aircraft. The jewel in the crown, the Mitsubishi Zero.
It's faster than anything that they've used before. It's incredibly maneuverable and it has extreme range. But while the technology was pretty good, what mattered at Pearl Harbor was the man behind it. It was the pilot. the Japanese pilots have already been at war for years, so they're well-trained crews. You add on top of that, they'd been planning that attack for a long period of time, so they've been running war games, simulating it, going through the action again and again, so that basically many of them talked about how they could have done it going in blind.
At 7:55 a.m., the first wave of bombers swooped from the sky. On the deck of the USS Arizona is Don Stratton.
We knew right away that they were Japanese planes. And we knew that they were bombing Ford Island, and something was radically wrong. Planes were strafing and dive bombing. It was just a horrible experience and a horrible sight. It was a high-altitude bomber, dropped like a 2,000-pound bomb. I mean, it just devastated everything in its path, and the concussion and the smoke and the fire was horrendous. It just was like you'd lost your home.
Of 8 battleships at anchor, the Arizona, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and California are sunk. The rest severely damaged. In 68 minutes, Japan has crippled the heart of America's Pacific Fleet.
From the Japanese perspective, the attack on Pearl Harbor succeeded beyond the most optimistic expectations. When you consider the losses that the Japanese suffered in this attack, it was essentially nothing.
The Japanese lose 64 men to 3,649 U.S. casualties, a human damage ratio of 57-1. But Japan's margin of victory hides 2 major flaws in the attack.
The Japanese failed to systematically attack the oil fields, the oil storage tanks at Pearl Harbor. If they'd have spent one more sortie taking out those oil tanks, they would have crippled the whole Pacific Fleet, which wouldn't have had the fuel supplies to keep going.
More significant are the ships the Japanese failed to target.
The American aircraft carriers were absent from Pearl Harbor at the time of the Japanese attack. And as things evolved very quickly, it became clear that the aircraft carrier was destined to become the most significant naval asset for either side in the Pacific War, and the American carriers were untouched.
Oil supplies and air domination, 2 factors that will dictate the fate of World War II, and Japan fails to damage either. Instead, it has awoken the full wrath of the sleeping American giant.
Pearl Harbor infuriated the American people. It also infuriated the American military. Massive casualties, destruction of most of the Pacific Fleet. If you wanted to do one thing to unite a country that before this had been rather divided about what to do about the war, Pearl Harbor was it.
This was like a lightning rod throughout the American population. No longer was President Roosevelt limited in his options. He had a United States population that was angry and unified and desired revenge against Japan.
Her era of isolationism is over. America is at war and begins its rise to become the most powerful nation on the planet. Washington calculates victory will cost